The exhibition is titled Amidst Twin Suns, and it encompasses my experience as a Latin day worker out in the ocean. Being stuck in between the sun and the horizon and the reflected sun on the water. There's these really beautiful stories of love and labor that exist within that in-between place that then are translated into my studio practice. It is an analogy for my role as a day worker and then my practice in my studio in the nighttime and the duality between those two. I think it's a conversation between the material in my work, the idea that I'm using plaster and then PVC, and then I'm trying to make these sort of structures that are very feudal and utilitarian at the same time. So there's that idea of mixing not conventional materials together and then making them exist in harmony with each other, whether that be like the sound and the plaster, and constantly sort of merging these two worlds together and making them exist in that in-between place. My practice, like the core of my practice, is the breakdown of plaster. So getting the idea of water and plaster in a bucket and completely breaking that action down, and then what happens after the mixing as well. So when you overcomplicate this simple task, it turns into this like futile task that essentially has no meaning to it. It just becomes very repetitive, redundant. So the idea of like turning something that is useful and then something that is futile, like in conversation with each other, is my main point of interest. I think it talks about the futility within the Latino working poor class here in Miami and the absurdity of a lot of the systems that are in place in the United States. All of these works are titled pre-production, and they are enumerated like as the piece continues. So like, for example, right now for this current exhibition, we are going to be performing pre-production 13, and each one learns from the last one. I feel like I myself, as the practicing artist of these pieces, I'm also like learning with the work. So I'm constantly introducing new materials, new ways to get more absurd with the pieces. I think that this allows me to kind of step back from my practice and maybe not take it as seriously and kind of see how absurd I can get and to what point of complexity and maximalism I can get with it, so that this simple, very easy task is completely deconstructed and decontextualized from what it actually is.